It's part of the whole change program that we're doing with the company. So we're training 900 people to work on a social media platform inside the organization. Well, the things I showed was how you start with such a project. It's not about the tools. It's first of all looking into a benchmark, see where you are within your organization on the topics of internal comms and collaboration. And then from there start with measurement and see where you need to adapt and what can be changed through a social media platform, because a social media platform can only do a couple of things. It's much more about change management and change communication. So you need first to have a good snapshot of where you are, then you can put metrics behind that, and then you can monitor afterwards.
Being on social network, it's often about like bringing yourself up. It's like positioning yourself something personal. Does it take into the organization, the business?
No, I think it's one of those added values that you can have by allowing people to blog internally in the corporation, by allowing them to social network within the organization. That makes it even better, because most of the time in current organizations, rather big organizations, people don't know each other. You know, you're a title on a business card or something, or a title in a business unit, and while you introduce these social networks inside an organization, it humanizes it, definitely. You have at least a picture, you know who this person is, and by getting online and connecting online, you get to know much more about the people you work with. I mean, one of the return on investments is time savings, but there are other things that are happening as well and which are important. It's optimizing business processes, it's having people work together in an efficient way. So it's all about business at one time or the other. But that doesn't mean you cannot put a social aspect around it. I think the better people know each other, the better they will work together, and that's probably the basics of these things. Because we've seen a really interesting presentation about one of your Russian colleagues who is into gaming, and I was talking later on that this was about gaming, you know, just for leisure. But I can see a big market for what we call serious gaming, which is using the gaming principles to educate and learn business people. And that is what's happening already in some companies. I know of a project, because I'm ex-IBM, I know that project, but it's about, through a game, learning people the basics of a very complex thing, which is business transformation management, for instance. So, you know, I don't think there's anything social, like social networks or social media, which cannot be adapted to help and a business in a certain way. But when I was IBM, I did play this specific serious game to learn the basics of this thing, and it really works, because, and that again, that is based on of course on surveys and on research, and the research proved that if you apply these gaming principles into a serious environment, a business environment, it definitely works to train people. It's not about using Facebook to do your business, or it's not about using Twitter to do your business. One of the very important reasons is that these things are open and there are privacy issues. And that is something that you cannot afford as a business. You need to have those things behind your firewall, on your own machines, where you are in full control of the technology, and that is pretty important. So that's why other companies are creating what we call enterprise-grade social media platforms and offering them to companies. It's never a solo thing. If you're talking about social media, never. Even not for external comms, it's always the group which works together.
What has been the major change in communications over the past year?
It's social media. It's the impact that it has not only on communications, also on the way that we do business, on the way that politics are run in the world, with, you know, what's happening in Egypt and in those parts of the world. So no, it's really, that is probably one of the most important things in the last year in communications. It's the understanding of business people, which now starts that this is not a hype, this is not going to go away, this has changed society fundamentally, and so automatically PR people and communications people need to look at it and work with it. The very first step that any kind of company needs to do, even if they are not planning to use social media communications, is listening. They need to start listening today on what's being said online about their company, their product, their services, their directors, their C-level managers. That's the very first step. Otherwise, if you're not listening, you cannot do anything. You're just navigating blindly in social media space, which can be dangerous for some companies. Well, I think that is one of the big challenges for corporations, that they need to understand that, you know, the world is changing all the time. And they need to go back to structures which allow for almost immediate change in market or a new competitor popping up, etc. So, and then that's why, and I think a lot of companies have understood that. You see the trend in breaking down silos within organizations, flexible organizations, horizontal organizations. And one important aspect in that, I think, is empowering employees. Empowering them with tools that they can do their work with, empowering them with a voice that they can reach out to customers, and not putting them behind barriers of stupid things like reactive statements and press releases and what have you. I have a Facebook profile which I scan from time to time, only for personal connections, I mean friends and people like that. Twitter account is both personal and business. I'm a blogger for many years now, so yeah, I use those things. Social media within the enterprise or for external comms is not replacing anything. It is not replacing traditional PR. It is not replacing internal communications in a traditional way. It's not replacing face-to-face. It is an other layer. It's just one other channel that you have and that you can use, and that you need to learn on when one channel is good to use and when the other one is better to use. So when do you use face-to-face? When do you use email? When do you use chat? When do you use status updates? Oh, communication is, that's a nice question. Communication is how people relate to each other. What would I wish to the forum? An even better forum next year, and that it continues to grow with a lot of people, and I would wish for an even broader international scope. It's already very international, but you have to keep on going for the international aspect. A lot of people, in at least the associations I'm in, we don't get those views, so that is very interesting, and it's keep on mixing different nationalities together. Oh, if I can tweet right now, I would say it has been a very long 2 days, but very interesting 2 days.